There is a point where everything starts to look similar, where your videos are improving, your understanding is sharper, your structure is stronger, yet something still feels missing, something subtle but powerful, and that missing piece is what separates growth from domination. Because at this level, it's no longer about making good videos. It's about making videos that are impossible to ignore. Videos that don't just hold attention but command it. Videos that create a reaction so strong that the viewer doesn't just watch, they remember. Because memory is the real currency most creators overlook. Not just views, not just watch time, but memorability. The ability of your content to stay in someone's mind after the video ends, because when a video is remembered, it gets revisited mentally, it gets talked about, it gets shared, and that extended life beyond the screen is what multiplies its impact. And this is where identity becomes critical. Not just what your content is about, but how it feels, how it sounds, how it presents itself consistently over time. Because when viewers can recognize your style within seconds, when they can predict the quality of experience they are about to receive, they develop a connection, and that connection reduces resistance, making every future click easier. But building identity is not about repeating the same format endlessly, it is about creating a recognizable core while allowing variation around it. Because repetition creates familiarity, but variation keeps interest alive. And balancing these two forces is what keeps your channel both consistent and dynamic. At the same time, your ideas must evolve, because what worked once will not always work again. Not because the system changes randomly, but because audience expectations shift, attention adapts, and novelty fades, and the creators who continue to grow are the ones who anticipate these shifts rather than react to them. This is why observation becomes one of your most powerful tools, not just observing your own content, but observing the ecosystem around you, noticing patterns in what performs, identifying emerging trends before they peak, understanding why certain videos resonate at specific times, and using that insight to position your content ahead of the curve. But there is a danger here. Chasing trends without understanding them, copying surface-level ideas without grasping the underlying psychology, because what makes a trend work is not the topic itself, but the way it taps into current attention patterns, and without that understanding, replication becomes ineffective. And then there is the concept of escalation, the idea that each video should feel like a step forward, not just in quality but in intensity, in depth, in impact, because when your content escalates over time, viewers feel progression, they feel growth, and that progression keeps them invested not just in individual videos but in your journey as a creator. At this stage, your audience is no longer just watching, they are forming expectations, and expectations are powerful because they can either amplify your success or limit it, depending on how you handle them. And the key is to meet expectations while occasionally exceeding or subverting them in ways that feel rewarding rather than confusing. This is where controlled unpredictability becomes a strategic advantage, introducing elements that surprise without breaking trust, that shift direction without losing coherence, because when viewers feel both comfortable and surprised at the same time, engagement reaches a different level. And then comes the concept of momentum stacking, where each successful video increases the chances of the next one performing well, not just because of algorithmic signals, but because of accumulated audience trust, increased visibility, and stronger initial engagement. And this compounding effect can accelerate growth dramatically. But momentum is fragile, it requires maintenance, it requires consistency in execution, in quality, in alignment, because a few weak videos can slow it down, can disrupt the pattern, can create hesitation in both the audience and the algorithm, and rebuilding that momentum takes time and precision. At the same time, your role as a creator begins to shift from someone who is trying to get attention to someone who is managing it, directing it, shaping it, because once attention starts coming in consistently, the challenge is no longer how to get it, but how to sustain it, how to convert it into long-term growth. And this is where strategy expands beyond individual videos into channel architecture. How your videos connect to each other, how they guide viewers from one piece of content to the next, how they create a loop that keeps people within your ecosystem rather than letting them leave after a single watch. Because a truly growing channel is not built on isolated successes, it is built on interconnected content, where each video strengthens the others, where each new upload adds value to the entire system, and this interconnected structure increases overall watch time, session duration, and audience retention across your channel. And when this system is working, something interesting happens. Your channel begins to feel alive, dynamic, constantly evolving, and viewers start to see it not just as a source of content, but as a destination, a place they return to regularly, a place they trust for a certain kind of experience. And that is when growth reaches a different level, when it is no longer dependent on a single video going viral, but on a system that consistently generates attention, engagement, and retention, creating a cycle that feeds itself, strengthens itself, and expands over time. Because at the highest level, success on YouTube is not about chasing virality, it is about building a machine that produces it. A system where every element from idea to execution to distribution works together seamlessly, and once you build that system, the question is no longer whether you will grow, but how fast you are ready to scale.